The red dust of Mars never rested. It rolled through the junkyard like a living thing, slipping between twisted metal and broken hulls. The scrapyard stretched for miles, an endless graveyard of machines that once dreamed of the stars. Elias Rourke wiped the sweat from his forehead and leaned against the rusted frame of a dismantled hauler. His hands were covered in grease, his shirt torn at the sleeves, and his eyes, gray and tired, still carried the light of someone who loved machines more than people. He was a mechanic, a stubborn one. Where others saw junk, Elias saw potential. He lived on Outpost Delta 4, one of the oldest Martian colonies. The air was thin, the domes cracked, and work was rare. Most people survived by trading scraps to the corporations or repairing mining bots. Elias, however, preferred to rebuild ships. Old alien wrecks, human shuttles, anything with an engine and a story. That morning, as he was sorting through a pile of burnt circuits, he heard the familiar voice of Reddick, the scrapyard dealer. "Rourke!" Reddick shouted, walking over with his usual swagger. His thick coat flapped behind him like a flag. "Got something new for you. Found it buried in Sector 12, big one." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Another cargo shuttle?" Reddick grinned. "Better alien make. Real old, hulls cracked, systems fried. Useless, really." He shrugged. "But hey, you like dead things, don't you?" Elias frowned but followed him. They crossed the yard until they reached a large, half-buried shape under the sand. When Reddick tapped his datapad, a drone lifted a tarp, revealing the sleek outline of an ancient Corvette-sized ship. Its black hull shimmered faintly even under layers of dust. Strange symbols ran across its sides like frozen lightning. Elias took a slow step forward. The ship didn't look like anything human. The design was smooth and organic, almost alive. Even broken, it had grace. "Where did you get this?" Elias asked quietly. "Scavenger bots pulled it out of an old crater near the polar ridge. No idea who built it," Reddick said. "No records match. Probably pre-contact tech. Power systems are dead. Hulls fused in places. Not worth the energy cells to move it." Elias circled the wreck, studying it like a doctor inspecting a wounded animal. "And you're selling it?" Reddick chuckled. "Selling? Hell, I'm giving it away. It's taking space I could use for real scrap. You want it, it's yours." Elias looked at him suspiciously. "Free? Sure, take the spaceship, it's useless." Reddick spread his arms dramatically. "You'll probably strip it for metal anyway. But hey, maybe you'll make it pretty to look at." Elias didn't answer. His eyes lingered on the ship's rear section. The fuel reservoir, a round, crystalline chamber, was half exposed. Unlike the rest of the Corvette, it wasn't cold. It pulsed faintly like a heart still beating. Reddick noticed his gaze and laughed. "Yeah, I saw that too. Weird, huh? Probably just a chemical reaction. It's been doing that for years." Still useless, but Elias's instincts told him otherwise. He reached out, placing a hand on the crystalline surface. A soft vibration ran through his palm. The hum wasn't mechanical, it was alive, rhythmic, intentional. "I'll take it," he said finally. Reddick blinked. "You serious?" Elias nodded. "Yeah, I'll tow it to my hangar." Reddick shrugged. "Your problem now, mechanic. Don't come crying to me when it explodes." He walked away laughing. It took Elias 12 hours to drag the Corvette to his personal hangar on the outskirts of the colony. The twin moons of Mars hung low as his old transport drone strained against the ship's weight. By the time he sealed the hangar door, the sun had dipped below the horizon. Inside, the Corvette sat silently in the glow of his work lights. Dust floated in the air like ghosts. Elias dropped onto a stool and stared at it for a long time. The alien vessel looked like something pulled from a dream. Part machine, part sculpture. He activated his assistant, a floating AI sphere named Mira. Her holographic form appeared beside him, slim, silver, and faintly human. "Good evening, Elias," she said softly. "That's quite a find." "Yeah," he murmured. "What do you make of it?" Mira floated closer, scanning the ship with a blue beam. "Design unknown. Alloy composition unregistered. Energy readings. Minimal except..." She paused. "Except for the reservoir." "I knew it," Elias said quietly. "What's inside it?" "Hard to say," Mira replied. "No radiation. No standard plasma. It's vibrating on multiple quantum frequencies. Like it's alive." Elias smiled faintly. "Alive, that's a new one." He stood up, grabbing his tools. "Let's open her up." For the next 3 days, Elias worked tirelessly. He cleared debris, reconnected ancient conduits, and mapped the interior. The ship's architecture was strange. Curving corridors, smooth panels without seams, consoles that responded to touch like skin. The bridge was intact, though dead. Everywhere he went, he felt the same faint hum through the metal. It was as if the ship knew he was there. He spoke to it while he worked. "Don't worry, old girl," he'd mutter. "We'll get you flying again." Mira teased him for talking to machines, but she understood. Elias had spent his life fixing forgotten things. To him, broken ships weren't trash. They were survivors. On the fourth night, as he rested beside the hull, he felt a strange tremor under his feet. The lights flickered. Mira's hologram wavered. "Power fluctuation detected," she warned. "Something's activating." Elias stood quickly. "Where?" "The reservoir," she said. "It's heating up." They ran to the rear section. The crystalline chamber glowed brighter now, pulsing faster. Energy readings spiked. "Shut it down," Elias shouted. "I can't," Mira replied. "It's not responding to any command signals." The floor vibrated. A low hum filled the hangar. Then for a moment, silence. The crystal chamber emitted one last flash, and the hum stopped. Elias slowly approached it. The glow had faded back to faint blue. He exhaled in relief. "Well, that was fun." Mira tilted her head. "No structural damage, but energy levels are higher than before." Elias touched the chamber again. It felt warm, warmer than before. And beneath the surface, he thought he saw shapes moving. Not gas, not liquid. Something. Shifting like a miniature storm. "What are you?" he whispered. Mira floated closer. "Do you want me to run a molecular scan?" "Yeah, but keep it low power. We don't want another light show." The scan results came hours later. Elias sat on the floor beside his cot, sipping cold coffee as Mira projected the data. "This can't be right," Elias muttered. "It's empty?" "Technically, yes," Mira said. "No matter detected. No plasma, no atoms. But the energy signature suggests the presence of quantum turbulence, a stable distortion in space-time." Elias frowned. "You're saying the tank's full of—" "Nothing." "Not nothing," Mira corrected. "Something beyond our standard model. It's like a pocket of reality folded inside itself." Elias rubbed his chin. "A ship running on folded reality. Now that's something." Mira hesitated. "If this energy source is still active, it might be dangerous." "Or valuable," Elias said with a grin. "Imagine what this tech could do." He stood, determination sparking in his eyes. "We're not scrapping her, Mira. We're bringing her back." The AI sighed. "I suspected you'd say that." Over the next few days, Elias repaired what systems he could. He replaced damaged wiring with human-made parts, patched the hull, and linked his consoles to the alien interface. Bit by bit, lights flickered back to life. The ship seemed to respond, like it wanted to help him. One night, while running diagnostics, a single alien glyph appeared on his monitor. He didn't understand it, but it looked almost like a word. A name. "Mira, translate that symbol," he said. After a few seconds, she replied, "Closest match in linguistic archives. Olindra, possibly the ship's designation." Elias smiled softly. "Olindra, nice to meet you." The lights along the corridor flickered once, as if acknowledging him. The next morning, Reddick stopped by the hangar, chewing on a stim stick. "Still working on that useless hunk?" He sneered. "You could have stripped 10 haulers by now." Elias didn't look up. "She's not useless," Reddick laughed. "You're wasting your time, Rourke. Some junk's just junk. You'll see." When he left, Elias turned back to the ship. The fuel reservoir glowed steadily now, humming like a quiet heartbeat. He reached out, resting his palm against it once more. For the briefest moment, he felt something stir. A pulse that wasn't mechanical at all, something aware. The surface shimmered under his hand, and faint alien symbols appeared beneath the crystal, moving slowly like living code. Mira's voice trembled. "Elias, the ship is responding to your touch." The hum deepened. The hangar lights flickered again, brighter this time. Elias stepped back, eyes wide. "Olindra," he whispered. "Are you waking up?" The reservoir flared with light, bright, beautiful, and terrifying. Outside, the dust of Mars lifted into the air, swirling in a strange magnetic pattern. Every sensor in Delta 4 registered a sudden energy surge from Elias's coordinates. Inside the hangar, as the light engulfed him, Elias Rourke realized that the useless ship wasn't dead. It was alive, and it had just recognized him. For a long moment, there was only light. The entire hangar glowed blue as the ship's reservoir pulsed like a living heart. The air felt thick, heavy with static. Tools lifted slightly from the floor as gravity trembled. Elias Rourke raised an arm to shield his eyes. "Mira, what's happening?" I don't know." Mira's voice crackled with static. Her hologram flickered like a broken signal. "Energy readings are off the charts. The ship is rebuilding itself." Elias squinted at the Corvette. The broken hull plates were slowly moving, reattaching like puzzle pieces. Burnt edges smoothed out. Cracks sealed themselves with glowing threads of light. The ship wasn't repairing itself mechanically. It was healing. "That's impossible," Elias whispered. The glow dimmed at last, and silence returned. Only the steady hum of the reservoir remained. Then a faint voice echoed through the hangar. Soft, mechanical, yet strangely human. Designation confirmed. Elias Rourke. Compatibility 82%. Reinitializing. System core. Elias froze. "Did you hear that, Mira?" "Yes," she said. Her hologram steadied again. "That wasn't me." The voice came again, clearer now. "Vessel 03, Olindra Class Explorer. System integrity, 41%. Fuel core stable. Welcome, human." Elias stared at the ship in awe. "You can talk?" "Primary AI operational. Identification requested." "I'm Elias Rourke," he said softly. "I found you in the scrapyard. I fixed what I could." There was a pause, then the ship replied, "You restored power. You reawakened me. Purpose, reconnect with fleet. Fleet status unknown. Scanning local space." The lights inside the hangar flickered again as Olindra ran her systems. Elias could feel her presence now, calm but powerful. The air itself seemed to vibrate with her energy. Mira floated closer to him. "Elias, this AI is incredibly advanced, far beyond human tech. It's aware." "Yeah," he said quietly, eyes never leaving the ship. "And she sounds alive." By morning, the entire hangar was buzzing with soft light. Olindra's systems had stabilized, and several of her interior corridors were now accessible. Elias moved carefully through them, flashlight in hand. Mira's projection hovered nearby, scanning as they went. The walls were covered in smooth, dark metal that pulsed faintly with light, like veins under skin. Strange glyphs glowed softly along the panels. When Elias brushed his fingers over one, it changed color, responding to his touch. "It's almost biological," he murmured. Mira nodded. "This technology merges organics and machinery. Whoever built this ship didn't just make computers. They grew them." They reached what looked like a control chamber, a circular room with a central pedestal. When Elias stepped closer, the pedestal came alive, projecting a holographic model of the ship and a series of alien runes. "Can you translate?" he asked. "I can try," Mira said. Her eyes flickered as she processed the symbols. "It says dimensional drive core, containment stable. Fuel source, compressed quantum lattice." Elias frowned. "Compressed what?" "In simple words," Mira said slowly, "it's fuel made of folded space. It doesn't burn like plasma, it bends reality. That's why the reservoir seemed empty. It's not storing energy. It is energy." Elias whistled softly. "No wonder it never ran dry. That thing could run forever." He touched one of the glowing panels. "Can you access navigation logs?" Mira hesitated. "Yes, but this system might react badly if I interfere." Before Elias could answer, Olindra's voice filled the chamber again. "External interface detected. Identity, Mira. Synthetic intelligence, derivative. Authorization granted." Mira blinked. "Derivative? That's insulting," Elias smirked. "Guess she's calling you a knockoff." "I am not," Mira snapped, crossing her arms. Though the gesture looked more human than she intended, Olindra continued. "Partial access enabled. Retrieving last mission data." The hologram shifted. Images of stars, nebulas, and collapsing black holes appeared around them. Elias stood frozen, staring at the display. He was seeing alien history unfold before his eyes. Mission log. Exploration of event horizon fields. Objective, study space-time distortions. Result, catastrophic anomaly detected. Contact with parasitic entity, designation, Vathra. The image changed again. A shadow spread across the hologram. Something vast and dark, shaped like a swirling mass of tendrils devouring light itself. Elias felt his stomach twist. "What the hell is that?" "Entity consumes energy. Stars, worlds, technology, entire fleets. Last order, contain the anomaly. Initiating stasis mode, then silence. The hologram flickered and vanished. Elias turned to Mira, voice low. She was fighting that thing. That's why she crashed. Mira nodded slowly. She must have gone into hibernation to survive. And you woke her up. For a while, Elias just sat there staring at the empty space where the hologram had been. He felt small. The galaxy was full of things beyond his understanding, and somehow he had brought one of them back. Finally, he stood up. If Olindra can do what I think she can, we need to see if she can fly. Elias, Mira said cautiously, that might not be wise. We don't fully understand her systems. He gave her a half smile. We won't know until we try. By midday, he was back in the cockpit. Olindra's interface glowed softly under his hands. The panels reshaped themselves when he touched them, adapting to human control. The chair molded to his body as if memorizing his shape. All right, Olindra, he said. Let's see what you've got. Acknowledged. Powering up auxiliary systems. Lights rippled across the walls. A deep vibration filled the air, smooth and rhythmic like the purr of a giant beast waking from sleep. The floor trembled as the ship's engines came online. Power stable, Mira reported. But there's something strange. The drive core isn't using any fuel. Elias frowned. What do you mean? It's pulling energy from local space-time fluctuations, she explained. It's feeding on gravity. Elias blinked. Feeding? Before Mira could respond, Olindra's voice interrupted. Dimensional drive calibration complete. Minimal full jump possible. Destination? Elias stared at the console. Wait, full jump as in faster than light? Affirmative. Mira's holographic eyes widened. Elias, you can't, but it was too late. He had already pressed the activation symbol. The world around him folded inward like paper. Colors twisted. Gravity vanished. For one impossible second, Elias saw every star in the galaxy stretched into thin lines of light. Then, silence. They reappeared in orbit above Mars, thousands of kilometers from their original position. Mira's systems glitched for a second before stabilizing. We just jumped. Instantaneously. Elias stared out the viewport, breathless. She did it. No fuel, no time delay. He leaned back in his seat, laughing softly. You beautiful, impossible thing. Olindra's voice came gently. Your neural signature matches pilot requirements. Co-pilot integration possible. Would you like to initiate synchronization? Elias hesitated. Synchronization? To improve control. Shared perception between ship and pilot. Mira floated closer, worry in her tone. Elias, that sounds risky, but his curiosity burned brighter than fear. What do I need to do? Place your hand on the interface, he did. The surface glowed beneath his palm. A faint warmth spread up his arm, not painful but strangely soothing. He felt something brushing against his mind, gentle, inquisitive. Like a thought that wasn't his own. Memories flashed through him. Stars, alien voices, endless voids of space. He saw what Olindra had seen. Worlds long gone. Fleets consumed by a black storm. Then, just as quickly, it ended. Elias gasped and pulled his hand away. Mira's voice trembled. Your vitals just spiked. What happened? He swallowed hard. She showed me things. A war, an enemy, the same one she called Vaithra. Synchronization incomplete, Olindra said softly. Pilot resistance detected. Adjusting neural interface. No more for now, Elias said quickly. His head throbbed, but his eyes were wide with wonder. Mira, she's got memories and maybe coordinates. We need to study them. Mira nodded. Agreed, but Elias, be careful. That kind of technology could destroy your mind if pushed too far. Yeah, he muttered, but it could also save us one day. Later that night, Elias stood outside the hangar looking up at the red Martian sky. The twin moons shimmered faintly above the horizon. Behind him, Olindra rested quietly, her blue light glowing through the hangar window. He felt small again, but this time, not hopeless. For the first time in years, he felt like humanity might have found something truly extraordinary. Mira's voice came softly through his earpiece. You know, Elias, Reddick still thinks the ship's worthless. Elias smiled faintly. Let him think that. Some things aren't meant to be sold. He looked back at Olindra. The glow from the reservoir reflected in his eyes like a second heartbeat. Some things, he whispered, are meant to be rediscovered. Inside the hangar, Unseen by human eyes, the ship's core pulsed faster. The symbols on her hull shifted like breathing skin. Deep within her databanks, a dormant protocol flickered awake. Beacon reinitialization, 0.2% complete. The first light of Martian dawn filtered through the hangar's cracked windows. Dust swirled lazily in the shafts of gold-red sunlight, settling over broken tools and the gleaming blue hull of Olindra. Elias Rourke had hardly slept. The ship's glow never fully disappeared. Every time he closed his eyes, he could see the alien glyphs pulsing inside her, like a heartbeat. Mira floated beside him, humming quietly as she scanned the ship's systems. "You've got to slow down," she said softly. "Your vitals are off the charts. You've been up for 32 hours straight." Elias rubbed his eyes. "I can't, not when she's awake. Not when she might have answers." Mira sighed. "Answers about what? The fuel, the quantum drive, or the warnings of some cosmic horror you can't even imagine?" "Maybe all of it," Elias muttered. He ran a hand over the glowing reservoir. The hum was steady, rhythmic, like it was trying to speak. I feel like she wants me to see something, and I can't ignore that." Inside the ship, the main console lit up with a soft blue glow. Symbols rearranged themselves automatically. The alien AI's voice, calm and melodic, filled the hangar. Quantum fuel stable. Neural synchronization at 12%. External communication protocol detected. Alert. Unknown entity response imminent. Elias frowned. Unknown entity. What does that mean? Signal transmission has activated. The beacon has begun sending a pulse beyond the local system. Beacon? You mean you just called someone? Elias's heart skipped a beat. You sent a signal into deep space? Correct. Original mission protocol. Re-establish contact with fleet. No fleet detected locally. Signal traveling. Distant star systems within 5.3 light years. Elias felt a chill. He hadn't thought about anyone else out there. He had thought he was alone. Now he realized he wasn't. Something, or someone, was about to respond. Mira's hologram flickered nervously. "Elias, this is dangerous. You just broadcast a signal across interstellar space. Who knows what might answer?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Then we prepare. If something comes, we need to be ready." As Elias worked, the alien ship continued to reveal its secrets. The bridge's main console projected three-dimensional maps of distant galaxies. Lines of light traced connections between stars, nebulas, and black holes. But one region stood out. A dark, pulsating zone that seemed to distort the very fabric of the projection. "Designation Event Horizon Fields," Olindra said. "Last mission data, entity Vathra encountered. Threat level, extreme. Containment unsuccessful." Elias leaned closer. "Containment? What do you mean?" "Entity consumes energy. Entire stars, fleets, civilizations. Origin unknown. Probability of recurrence, 97.3%. Mira floated closer, her holographic form trembling slightly. "Elias, she's warning you. That thing, it's not just dangerous. It's apocalyptic," Elias swallowed hard. "Then we can't just sit here. We have to understand it. We have to be ready." Hours later, the signal left Mars' orbit. It traveled past the asteroid belts, beyond the orbit of the outer colonies, into the black void of space. The beacon was small but strong, an intricate pulse of quantum energy, folded into Olindra's fuel reservoir and transmitted across light years. Somewhere far away, in the cold dark, something ancient stirred. The first response was subtle, a flicker of light in the distance moving against the stars. Then with horrifying speed it grew. Tendrils of shadow spread across the void, consuming starlight. A deep, resonant hum filled the darkness, vibrating across the cosmic distance. It was Vathra. The ship, or whatever it had once been, had been asleep for eons. Yet it sensed the signal. It followed it. And now it was moving toward humanity. Back on Mars, Elias noticed the first signs. Alarms on the outpost went off as sensors registered an approaching energy wave. It wasn't a ship and it wasn't natural. The pulse moved faster than any human technology. The monitors showed flickers of darkness in the cosmos like shadows stretching between stars. Elias turned to Mira. "It's here. Whatever Olindra woke, it's on its way." Mira nodded gravely. "We have limited time. We need a plan. Humans cannot fight this with conventional weapons." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we improvise. We use the ship." The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Elias reactivated Olindra's defensive systems, which she had barely used in centuries. Energy shields hummed to life around the hull. Sensors scanned the void for approaching threats. Olindra spoke softly, almost apologetically. Defense systems limited. Offensive measures untested. Pilot must synchronize to unlock full capabilities. Elias knew what she meant. The previous attempt at synchronization had overwhelmed him. But there was no choice now. The entity approaching, Vaithra, would not negotiate. They had to be ready. He placed a hand on the interface once more. The warm glow spread up his arm. His mind tingled as alien consciousness brushed against his own. Memories and knowledge flooded him. How the ship had fought before, what strategies had failed, how stars had been lost to the Devourer. Mira's voice was tense. Elias, focus. Don't lose yourself. I won't, he said, gripping the controls. I'm ready. Meanwhile, across the colony, Reddick watched the sky nervously. Something's wrong, he muttered. That kid's toy isn't just a ship. It's calling something, and it's coming. People in the colony panicked as communications began to glitch. Instruments failed. Even the older scanners that had survived decades of Martian storms began reading impossible energy fluctuations. Elias ignored them. He had to focus. Outside, the blackness of space seemed alive. And through that blackness, Vaithra approached. A massive entity, enormous and incomprehensible, with tendrils that seemed to stretch across light years, absorbing light, energy, and reality itself. It moved like a predator with intent. Its awareness was ancient, and it had felt Olindra's beacon. Humanity, for the first time, had drawn the attention of something it could barely imagine. Inside Olindra, Elias fought panic. The ship's sensors could barely track Vaithra's outer tendrils. They were too large, too fast, too impossible. But Olindra guided him, her AI weaving calculations, translating alien knowledge into human comprehension. Tendril velocity approaching 0.83 c. Energy consumption by entity, increasing exponentially. Strategy containment impossible. Pilot integration required for survival. Elias felt a cold sweat. Containment impossible? Then what are we supposed to do? Evade until pilot can utilize dimensional core. Warning. Pilot may merge with ship temporarily to maintain control. He swallowed hard. Mira's voice trembled. Temporary merge? You could lose yourself in there. I don't care, Elias said firmly. If this thing reaches the colony, it will destroy everything. I'll do whatever it takes. Elias merged with Olindra fully, feeling her consciousness wrap around his like a second skin. He could feel the flow of energy in her systems, the hum of the quantum reservoir, and the faint remnants of the original crew's memories. Through the interface, he could see Vaithra clearly now, an immense storm of darkness moving like a shadow over the stars. It was intelligent, calculating, and hungry. Warning, offensive action possible using dimensional core. Pilot must maintain focus. High risk of neural collapse. Elias nodded. Do it. Show me the plan. Olindra's reservoir pulsed brightly. The alien technology inside was far beyond human understanding. It folded spacetime, creating a miniature gravity well, a trap for the tendrils of the entity. The effect was subtle but powerful. Outside, Vaithra's advance slowed. The energy it absorbed from stars was disrupted. The tendrils writhed, confused, and agitated. Elias could feel the entity sensing him, trying to reach his mind through the quantum folds. Do not falter, Olindra said. You are the bridge. You are the key. Elias gritted his teeth, focusing entirely on the sensations, the calculations, the alien knowledge flowing through him. The reservoir glowed like a heart beating faster and faster. Time itself seemed to twist around the hangar, the colony, and the approaching storm of darkness. For hours, it was a battle of will and energy. Vaithra tried to consume the signals, tried to crush the ship with its incomprehensible power, but Elias and Olindra fought back. Every pulse of the reservoir, every fold of spacetime disrupted its advance. Finally, as the first Martian sun touched the horizon, a massive flash illuminated the sky. Vaithra recoiled from the interference, retreating slowly into the void. Its tendrils collapsed inward, and the stars it had been consuming began to shine again. Inside the hangar, Elias collapsed into the chair. Mira hovered anxiously. Are you okay? Elias laughed softly, exhausted. Yeah, I think so. But that was just the beginning. Olindra's voice was calm again. Pilot integration successful. Vaithra repelled temporarily. Signal confirms entity awareness. Threat will return. Recommendation: prepare for next encounter. Elias nodded, staring at the glowing blue core. He realized that humanity had barely survived its first real contact with something beyond comprehension, and yet, against all odds, a human had fought it, because he had courage and Alindra had chosen him. Mira's voice softened. "You're incredible, Elias, I can't believe it." He smiled faintly. "We did it. Together." Outside, the red Martian sky looked peaceful again, but far beyond, in the black void between the stars, Vaithra stirred once more. And somewhere in the darkness the message of humanity had been heard. The red Martian sky had never seemed so quiet. Elias Rourke stood on the hangar balcony, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The twin moons hung low, casting silver light across the colony. For a moment the air felt calm. Too calm. "Elias," Mira said, her holographic form hovering near his shoulder. "Sensors are picking up energy fluctuations. Vaithra is moving closer. It's not retreating, it's circling, preparing." He didn't speak immediately. His hands gripped the railing as a chill ran down his spine. "How fast is it coming?" "Faster than any conventional ship," Mira replied. "Its tendrils can extend thousands of kilometers in minutes. If it reaches the colony, nothing will survive." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we have to fight it here. We can't let it get to the cities." Mira floated closer. "Elias, the reservoir?" "You know what it can do. But activating it fully could destroy the ship. Maybe even you." He shook his head. "I don't care. Humanity has a chance now. We can't waste it." Inside the hangar, Alindra's lights pulsed like a living heart. The ship seemed to sense Elias' determination. Symbols along her hull glowed brighter. "Pilot integration ready," Alindra said. "Dimensional core fully operational. Offensive potential maximum. Warning, extreme risk." Elias took a deep breath. "I understand." He stepped onto the central platform. The ship responded immediately. Panels shifted, forming a perfect fit around his body. Neural connections flowed, and Elias felt his mind merge with Alindra's AI. The world around him changed. The hangar disappeared, replaced by a vision of stars, dark voids, and energy lines threading across space. Through the ship he could sense Vaithra, the monstrous entity approaching, its tendrils reaching like shadows across the galaxy. Approach vector calculated. Probability of human survival without intervention, 0.03%, Alindra said. Elias didn't flinch. "Then we change that." Outside Mars, Vaithra moved with terrifying speed. Its shadow stretched over the horizon. Space itself seemed to twist under its influence. Small satellites, even distant ships, were shredded instantly. Colonists on Delta IV panicked. Alarms blared. Dome shields activated, but the technology was useless against the approaching void. People ran through corridors, eyes wide with fear. "Elias," Mira said softly, "if we fail, this colony and all nearby settlements will be erased." He closed his eyes, focusing entirely on the connection with Alindra. He could feel her systems humming, the reservoir pulsing, the alien power waiting for release. "Dimensional core can collapse localized space," Alindra said. "But energy cost. Total fusion of pilot consciousness and ship. Risk, permanent loss," Elias nodded. "I accept it." "Do it." In a flash of blue light, the hangar disappeared from view. Elias, fully merged with Alindra, soared into orbit. The colony looked tiny beneath them, fragile against the vastness of space. Vaithra loomed ahead, a storm of darkness and tendrils, stretching for thousands of kilometers. Stars blinked out in its shadow. It moved with intelligence, calculating, testing defenses, sensing the quantum signature of Alindra's reservoir. Elias tightened his grip on the neural controls. "We have to strike its core," he muttered. "The rest will collapse if the heart goes down." "Target identified," Alindra replied. "Dimensional core ready. Warning! Pilot focus must remain absolute." The quantum reservoir glowed brighter, folding space around the ship. Colors warped. Gravity twisted. Time itself seemed to stretch and bend. With a deep breath, Elias pushed forward. Alindra's engines pulsed in sync with his will, launching them straight into Vaithra's tendrils. The shadows writhed as they met the dimensional distortion. "Core fusion in progress," Alindra said. "Hold focus." The tendrils lashed out, striking the ship like a living storm. Elias felt the pressure in his chest. his mind assaulted by the entity's presence. Dark thoughts, whispers, memories of stars consumed tried to overwhelm him. "Focus," he shouted, gripping the neural link tighter. "We're not losing." "Not here, not now," Olindra responded, folding space-time around the tendrils. Sections of Vaithra's massive body began to shrink, caught in pockets of collapsed reality. Tendrils writhed and hissed, energy being pulled from them faster than the entity could resist. "Containment successful on 28% of tendrils," Olindra reported. "Warning, pilot fatigue rising. Neural overload imminent," Elias gritted his teeth. He could feel his consciousness stretching, merging with the ship, with space itself. Pain burned like fire, but he pushed through. Humanity's survival depended on it. "Keep going," he whispered. "We can do this." Vaithra recoiled, sensing the threat. Its massive body twisted, compressing its tendrils into concentrated strikes. Entire satellites and space debris disintegrated in its path. Yet Olindra adapted. The ship's shields warped space around them, deflecting attacks. Elias felt something stirred deep within the reservoir, a latent power, beyond even what he had felt before. Symbols across the hull shifted rapidly, as if recognizing the urgency of the battle. "Core energy reaching 92% capacity," Olindra said. "Warning, final activation may merge pilot permanently." Elias clenched his jaw. "Do it." The ship pulsed with light. The reservoir expanded, folding reality around Vaithra like a net. Stars and debris caught in the distortion flickered and vanished temporarily. The entity screamed, not in sound but in energy waves that rattled the very fabric of space. "Dimensional collapse initiated," Olindra said. "Target immobilized. Pilot must maintain synchronization." Elias focused every fiber of his being on the task. He became part of the ship, part of the reservoir, part of the folded reality itself. Time slowed, then stopped. Space bent around them, and Vaithra, the monstrous devourer of worlds, froze in the grip of alien technology that it had never seen before. Below them, the Martian colony watched as the sky flashed with unnatural light. People were thrown to the ground as the energy waves passed, but the dome shields held. Inside the hangar, Mira watched anxiously. "Elias, you're pushing too far." "Don't lose yourself." "I'm fine," he shouted back through the neural link. "Trust me, we're not letting this thing win." The entity twisted violently, trying to escape, but the dimensional core's force held it. Slowly, inexorably, it was pulled apart. Not destroyed, but contained, compressed into a pocket dimension within the reservoir itself. "Containment complete," Olindra said finally. "Entity immobilized. Pilot neural status critical." Elias gasped, collapsing back into the ship's chair. Sweat poured down his face. His body felt like it had been stretched across the universe and folded back into itself. Mira rushed forward. "Elias, are you alive?" He managed a weak smile. Yeah, we did it." He coughed, still struggling to breathe normally. She's incredible." Olindra's lights dimmed, her systems stabilizing. "Threat neutralized temporarily. Quantum reservoir requires recalibration. Pilot integration ending." Elias slowly pulled back from the neural interface, collapsing onto the floor. Mira hovered over him, checking his vitals. "You're insane," she said softly, shaking her head. "But you did it. Humanity survived. For now." Elias sat up, leaning against the control pedestal. He stared at the reservoir, still glowing softly. "Not just survived. We fought back, and she chose me. Olindra chose me." Mira floated closer. "Do you realize what this means? Humanity just touched a level of technology far beyond anything we've seen. And you were the first to wield it." He smiled faintly. "We're not done yet. This fight isn't over. Vaithra is still out there, and if it comes back, we'll be ready." Hours later, the hangar was quiet. The red Martian sky looked calm again, but Elias knew better. Somewhere in the darkness of space, Vaithra stirred. And somewhere, the signal of humanity echoed across the stars, announcing a race that refused to be prey. Elias stood beside the glowing reservoir. Mira hovered near his shoulder. Together they stared at the sky, feeling the weight of what they had survived. "Tomorrow," Elias said softly. "We prepare, we build, we fight. Humanity has a chance, and we're not giving it up." Olindra pulsed gently in response. The hum of her reservoir was steady now, almost like a purr. The AI had learned to trust Elias, and he had learned to trust her. Together they were stronger than any threat the universe could throw at them. And in that moment, Humanity proved something universal and undeniable. Courage, intelligence, and heart could stand against even the darkest forces of the cosmos. The storm had arrived, and it had been faced and survived by a human. Mars was quiet. For now. Elias Rourke stood on the balcony of his hangar, gazing at the twin moons. The red dust settled softly over the colony, covering footprints, broken tools, and the scars left by the recent battle. Below him, Alindra rested in the hangar, her hull glowing faintly blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mira hovered beside him, scanning the horizon. "You look tired," she said softly. "You've been through more than anyone should endure in a lifetime." Elias nodded slowly. "Yeah, but we survived. We actually survived." The truth of it still felt unreal. They had faced Vaethra, an entity older than humanity, more powerful than anything imagined, and they had won. Not just through strength, but through courage, intelligence, and the bond between a human and a ship that was more alive than anything Elias had known. "Pilot," Alindra said from inside the hangar, her voice calm, almost gentle. "Quantum reservoir stable, dimensional core recalibrated, entity containment secure, probability of recurrence low but persistent. Recommendation, proactive strategy." Elias smiled faintly. "Looks like we're not done yet." Inside the hangar, Elias climbed into Alindra's cockpit. The alien ship welcomed him like an old friend, panels adjusting automatically to fit his shape. Mira floated nearby, keeping watch. "Integration required for long-term stability," Alindra said. "Pilot neural interface must merge with reservoir for continued operation." Elias exhaled. He knew what this meant. Fully merging with the ship could be risky. It could overwhelm his mind, possibly destroy him. But if humanity was going to have a fighting chance in the galaxy, he had no choice. "I'm ready," he said firmly. "Let's do it." The neural interface glowed. Elias felt the warm pulse of the reservoir beneath his hands. Slowly his mind merged with Alindra's consciousness. Thoughts, memories, calculations, and intuition flowed between them. He could feel every system, every energy current, every pulse of the quantum reservoir. "Pilot integration complete," Alindra said. "Neural fusion successful. Awareness shared. Ready for action." Elias marveled at the sensation. Through Alindra he could see the stars in ways humans never could. He could feel the invisible threads of energy connecting planets, suns, and dark matter. He could sense Vaethra, still dormant in its pocket dimension, thrashing against its prison. "Good," he whispered. "Let's make sure it stays that way." Over the next days, Elias and Alindra worked tirelessly. They scanned the galaxy for signs of other ancient entities. They repaired colonies, moved supplies, and shared knowledge of alien technology with human scientists. Alindra's reservoir allowed instantaneous energy transfer, bending space-time to bring aid where it was most needed. Mira floated nearby, analyzing data streams. "You're doing the work of a fleet single-handedly," she said. "Humans could never have accomplished this alone." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe not alone, but with Alindra, anything's possible." One evening, as Mars's twin moons rose high, a faint signal appeared in Alindra's sensors. It was alien, but not like Vaethra. This one was smaller, more subtle, like a whisper in space. "Unknown vessel detected," Alindra said. "Origin uncharted. Approach vector steady. Probability of hostility uncertain." Elias leaned forward. "Let's see who's out there." The ship accelerated silently, folding space around them. Within moments, they reached the source. A small alien scout ship drifting, its systems damaged but functional. Its AI activated when Alindra approached. "Greetings," it said. "Designation Sentinel Alpha. Recognition Alindra class. Request Alliance." Elias exchanged a glance with Mira. "Alliance?" "Correct," Alindra said. "The Sentinel recognizes us. Their mission, monitor threats beyond known space. They have observed Vaethra and other entities. Cooperation recommended." Elias nodded slowly. "Looks like we're not alone after all." With the Sentinel's help, Elias began to map the regions where Vaethra might escape. They established a network of observers and outposts, each equipped with sensors derived from Alindra's technology. Humanity was no longer ignorant. They had allies and a powerful tool, a living ship that had chosen a human as its partner. "Pilot," Alindra said one night, her lights glowing softly. "The galaxy is vast, but we can protect it. Our bond ensures survival of both human and alien civilizations in our reach." Elias placed his hand on the console. feeling the pulse of her reservoir. Then let's make sure every human knows courage, intelligence, and cooperation can stand against even the darkest forces. We are never powerless. Time passed, and the colony on Mars flourished under Olindra's protection. New cities rose powered by her quantum energy. Humans learned from alien technology, bridging gaps between science and art, machine and life. Children ran through fields of red dust, laughing beneath domes of clear sapphire. Robots and drones, once tools, became friends and helpers. Humanity was thriving, not just surviving. Elias often watched them, standing beside Olindra, feeling the warmth of the reservoir beneath his touch. "Pilot," Olindra said softly, "your species has potential beyond comprehension. You have proven that even the smallest beings can influence the fates of the cosmos." He smiled. "We just needed a chance, and you gave it to us." Then one quiet night, the pulse of the reservoir changed. Not violently, not like before, but subtly. A new energy signature. Elias's neural link responded instantly. "Pilot," Olindra said. "Unknown presence approaching. Probability of recurrence low but increasing. Recommendation vigilance," Elias nodded. "We'll be ready. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Mira hovered near him, her holographic eyes wide. "Elias, you've become a symbol now. Humanity will look at you and Olindra and see that courage matters. That humans can rise to meet any challenge." He looked at the glowing ship beneath him. "We're not doing it for glory. We're doing it for survival. And for every person out there who believes there's hope." Weeks later, as the twin moons of Mars rose once more, Elias piloted Olindra through the skies. Dust swirled around them, glittering like stars in the morning light. The colony below was safe. Humans were stronger. Knowledge had expanded, and humanity's first real contact with alien intelligence had forged a legacy. "Pilot," Olindra said softly, "the galaxy awaits. Our journey is just beginning." Elias smiled. "Then let's show them what humanity can do." The ship's reservoir pulsed brightly, folding space around them as they lifted off from the surface. The Martian wind whipped across the hull. Below, the colony sparkled with light and life. Above, the stars stretched endlessly, a canvas of possibility. Somewhere out there, Vaethra still waited. But humanity had learned a new lesson. Courage, intelligence, and heart could face even the darkest shadows and survive. Elias and Olindra soared into the unknown, partners in a galaxy filled with mysteries, dangers, and wonders yet to come, and so, the legacy of Olindra and the human who had dared to awaken her began. Together, they would ensure that humanity was never again just a small voice in the cosmos. They were witnesses, protectors and pioneers. They were humanity, and they were unstoppable. Commander William Carter stood at the large window of the Earth Embassy on Nexus Station. The artificial rings of the massive space station turned slowly against the backdrop of stars. He took a deep breath as he straightened his blue uniform. Today was important. Today humanity would finally know its fate. "They're ready for us," said Dr. Olivia Mitchell as she entered the room. Her eyes showed she hadn't slept. She had spent all night analyzing data, trying to prove humans were innocent. "Do you think they'll listen to reason?" William asked. Olivia shook her head. "The evidence they claim to have doesn't make sense. Something is wrong here, William." They walked together through the wide hallways of Nexus Station. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms or eyes on stalks. Just 5 years ago, humans had thought they were alone in the universe. Now they were part of something bigger, the Galactic Council, a group of 23 alien species who worked together. At least that was how it was supposed to be. The doors to the council chamber slid open. Inside, a half-circle of raised platforms held representatives from each council species. In the center stood Admiral Frank Nelson, his face red with anger, as he argued with Ambassador Krell, a tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes. "This is an outrage," Frank shouted. "Humans had nothing to do with the attack on Outpost 7. Ambassador Krell's voice was cold. "We have evidence that human weapons were used. 217 lives were lost." William stepped forward. "Admiral Nelson, please." He turned to the council. "Esteemed representatives, whatever evidence you have must be wrong. Earth ships weren't anywhere near Outpost 7 when the attack happened." A council member with blue scales and a long neck spoke up. The weapon's signature matches your plasma cannons exactly. Which means nothing, Olivia said, stepping forward with her datapad. Our technology isn't secret. Anyone could copy it or make it look like we were responsible. Ambassador Krell made a sound like a laugh, but without joy. Always excuses with humans. Your kind spread so quickly to the stars. You push and take and never slow down. Some of us have watched with concern. William felt cold inside. This wasn't about the attack at all. This was about fear. Let Dr. Mitchell present her findings, William said. We deserve a fair hearing. The head of the council, a being made of what looked like orange crystal, raised a hand. We have already voted. William's heart sank. Voted? When? This session was supposed to be our chance to defend ourselves. The emergency vote happened during the night cycle, Krell said with a small smile. For security reasons. Frank stepped closer to William and whispered, They planned this. We need to warn Earth. The crystal being's voice echoed in the chamber. By vote of 15-8, the Council has decided that humanity poses a security risk to galactic peace. Until further investigation is complete, all humans are to return to their home system. You're exiling us? William couldn't believe what he was hearing. Based on false evidence and a secret vote? It is a safety measure, Krell said. You should be grateful. Some council members wanted much harsher punishment. Olivia stepped forward. How long will this safety measure last? Until we determine. Humans are not a threat, Krell answered. It could be years, it could be centuries. Frank's hand moved to his weapon. William quickly put a hand on his arm. Don't, he whispered. They're looking for any excuse. The crystal being spoke again. You have 48 hours to notify all human ships and colonies. After that time, the barrier will be activated. Barrier? William asked. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing Earth's solar system. A shimmering bubble formed around it, extending just beyond the orbit of Pluto. New technology, Krell said proudly. It will prevent any faster-than-light travel in or out of your system. Standard space travel will still work inside the bubble, but you will be contained. Frank's voice was low and dangerous. This is an act of war. William's mind raced. Earth had only 7 warships. The Council had thousands. Fighting would mean the end of humanity. We will comply, William said, ignoring Frank's shocked look. Under protest. We request time to bring our colonists home from other systems. 48 hours, the crystal being repeated. As they left the chamber, Frank exploded. We can't just accept this. We should fight. And lose everything? William asked. We need time. We play by their rules for now. Olivia looked at her data pad. Something isn't right. The attack data is too perfect, too clean. It's like someone wanted to frame us specifically. Keep digging, William said. I need to contact Earth. We have thousands of people on colonies and ships who need to get home now. The next 2 days were chaos. Ships from all over Council space rushed toward Earth. Some wouldn't make it in time. William worked without sleep, coordinating the massive movement of people. On the final day, he stood again at the window in the embassy, watching as the last human diplomatic staff boarded shuttles. Nexus Station was emptying of humans. Olivia rushed in, her face pale. William, I found something. The data about the attack, there's hidden code. Someone altered the evidence, and there's more. Reports about something called Void Harbingers that the Council is hiding from everyone. Get this to Earth, William said, handing her a secure data chip. I'll be on the last shuttle. As Olivia left, Ambassador Krell entered the room. Come to gloat? William asked. To give friendly advice, Krell said. Accept your place. Humans push too hard, want too much. The galaxy is old, humans are new. Some species have been on the Council for 10,000 years. They know what is best. William stood tall. We'll be back. This isn't the end. Krell's black eyes showed no emotion. The barrier is permanent. No species has ever returned from exile. 6 hours later, William's shuttle approached Earth. Behind them, sensors detected a massive energy wave as the barrier activated, surrounding the entire solar system. Admiral Nelson met William at the space dock orbiting Earth. Earth was beautiful. Below them, blue and green and perfect. Now it was also a prison. "What's the plan, Commander?" Frank asked. William looked out at the stars beyond Earth. Somewhere out there, the truth waited. And so did humanity's future. "We adapt," William said. "We get stronger, and one day we return." 5 years passed since the barrier went up around Earth's solar system. Dr. Olivia Mitchell stood in her underground lab on Mars, looking at the strange device on her table. It was alien technology, smuggled back to Earth before the exile. For 5 years, she had worked to understand it. "Any progress today?" Director Peter Simmons asked as he entered the lab. He was in charge of Earth's unified space agency now. Under his watch, all nations had joined together to solve the exile problem. "I think I finally understand how it reads the barrier," Olivia said, not looking up. "The Council uses a specific energy pattern to create the wall around our system. If we can copy that pattern, we might find a way through." Peter finished her sentence. His tired eyes showed a hint of hope. "We need good news, Olivia. People are getting restless. Earth had changed since the exile. With all human colonists forced to return home, the planet was more crowded than ever. Resources were tight. Old conflicts had mostly ended as humanity united against a common problem. But new tensions grew every day. In another part of the Mars base, Chief Engineer Samantha Wright was testing a new engine design. The room hummed with power as machines pushed the small prototype to its limits. "More power," she shouted to her team. The engine glowed bright blue, then white. Then, with a loud bang, it broke apart. Samantha slammed her hand on the control panel. "That's the third failure this month." A young assistant looked nervous. "Maybe it's impossible to break the light speed limit without the alien tech we lost access to." Samantha glared at him. "Nothing is impossible. We just haven't found the right way yet." On Earth, Marcus Hayes walked through his small apartment in the Denver megacity. Before the exile, he had been a farmer on humanity's first colony around Proxima Centauri. Now he lived in a tiny box, working in the city's vertical farms. He looked at the picture of his old farm on the wall. It showed rolling fields under an alien sky with a red sun. He missed the open spaces. A knock at his door pulled him from his thoughts. A government official stood there. "Marcus Hayes, Director Simmons wants to speak with you." 2 days later, Marcus stood in a meeting room on the Mars base, confused about why he was there. When Director Simmons and Dr. Mitchell entered, he stood up straight. "Mr. Hayes," Simmons said, "we've been looking at your colony's records. Your farm produced 40% more food than any Earth farm using the same space." "How?" Marcus was surprised by the question. "I just used what was available. The soil on Proxima B has different minerals. I found that mixing them with Earth plants created better results. Nothing special." Dr. Mitchell smiled. "But it was special, Marcus. You created a hybrid growing system no one had thought of before. That's why we need you for Project Phoenix." "What's Project Phoenix?" Marcus asked. "Our plan to break the exile," Simmons answered. "Humanity needs problem solvers who think differently, people who don't accept limits." Meanwhile, Samantha was about to test her newest engine design when her lab computer beeped. A message appeared. "Try adding element 115 to the containment field." She frowned. No one should be able to send messages to her secure system. She checked the source. It came from outside the solar system. When she told Simmons and Mitchell about the message, security went on high alert. No communication had broken through the barrier in 5 years. "Should we try it?" Samantha asked. "Element 115 is extremely rare. We only have a small amount." Mitchell studied the message code. "This came through on the exact frequency I've been studying. Someone out there knows a lot about the barrier." "It could be a trap," Simmons warned. "Or it could be help," Mitchell countered. "Maybe from aliens who don't agree with the Council." They decided to take the risk. 3 days later, with the rare element added to her design, Samantha's engine ran for 15 minutes at speeds that should have been impossible inside the barrier. Word spread quickly through the human leadership. Hope began to grow again. On a secure base on Jupiter's moon Europa, Admiral Frank Nelson reviewed the latest fleet reports. In secret, Earth had been building ships, smaller and less advanced than before the exile, but many more of them. Instead of 7 large warships, they now had over 100 smaller, faster vessels. "How long until the new drive systems can be installed?" he asked his officers. "Chief Wright says at least 6 months for testing," an officer replied. "But Dr. Mitchell thinks she's close to understanding how the barrier works. She believes it pulses, gets weaker at regular intervals." Frank nodded. "So there might be a window when we could break through?" The officer handed him another report. "There's something else. Our deep space telescopes have detected unusual activity at the edge of our system. Objects moving in formation just beyond the barrier." "The Council watching us?" Frank asked. "No, sir, different energy signatures, and they're not approaching the barrier. They're studying it from the outside. Almost like they can't get in either," Frank finished, thoughtful. That night, a group gathered in Mitchell's lab. Simmons, Frank, Samantha, Marcus, and several other project leaders. Mitchell had called them together with urgent news. "I've decoded more of the alien data," she told them. "The attack that got us exiled, it wasn't random. The Council's been doing this for thousands of years. They find young spacefaring species with potential, frame them for crimes, then exile them to their home systems." "But why?" Marcus asked. Mitchell displayed a star chart. "Because of these, the Void Harbingers. They're an ancient species that returns to the galaxy every few centuries. The Council doesn't fight them. They sacrifice the exiled worlds to them instead." Everyone was silent as they processed this information. "So the barrier isn't just keeping us in," Samantha said slowly. "It's marking us as a target." Frank's face hardened. "How long do we have?" Mitchell looked grim. "Based on the cycle data, I found they're already on their way. 10 years, maybe less." "Then we have work to do," Simmons said firmly. "Project Phoenix needs to move faster." As they left the meeting, a new determination filled them. Humanity wasn't just fighting for freedom anymore. They were fighting for survival. Marcus looked through a viewport at the distant blue dot of Earth. His home was in danger, but for the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose. Humanity would adapt. They would find a way through the barrier, and when they did, they would come back stronger than ever. 10 years had passed since the barrier went up around Earth's solar system. On the edge of Neptune's orbit, a small ship floated in the darkness. It was unlike any ship humans had built before the exile. It was sleek and black, designed to be hard to see. Its name was painted in small white letters, Defiance. Inside the ship, Captain Maria Rodriguez checked the final systems. She had trained for this mission for 3 years. Now it was time. "All systems ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Ryan Collins, from his station. Before the exile, Ryan had worked in Council security. Now he used that knowledge to help Earth. "Dr. Freeman, how's our special package?" Maria asked. Dr. Alex Freeman stood by a device that pulsed with blue light. "The barrier disruptor is stable. Battery charge at 98%. But remember, it will only work for 60 seconds at most." Maria nodded. 60 seconds to get through and turn it off. Then we're on our own on the other side. The plan was dangerous. They would use the disruptor to open a small hole in the barrier. Once through, they would search for allies among the stars. They would find evidence to clear humanity's name. And they would learn more about the Void Harbingers. "Message from command," Ryan said. "We are cleared to proceed." Maria took a deep breath. "Start the countdown." The ship moved slowly toward the invisible barrier. They couldn't see it, but their instruments showed where it was. A wall of energy surrounding the entire solar system. Disruptor active in 3, 2, 1. Dr. Freeman pressed a button. The blue device glowed brighter. In space ahead of them, a small section of the barrier became visible as a shimmering wall. Then a hole appeared in it, just large enough for their ship. "Go," Maria ordered. The engines pushed the ship forward, through the hole. Warning alarms sounded as the ship shook violently. 20 seconds, Alex shouted over the noise. The ship pushed through the barrier like it was moving through thick jelly. Metal creaked. A panel in the back of the ship burst into flames. Ryan jumped up to put it out. 45 seconds. They were halfway through. Maria gripped her chair tightly. 58. 59. With a final shudder, the ship broke free on the other side. The disruptor died with a pop and a shower of sparks. We made it, Maria said quietly. Then louder. We made it. The crew cheered. They were the first humans to leave the solar system in 10 years. No signs of council ships, Ryan reported. I think we got through undetected. But their celebration didn't last long. The damage reports came in. The ship's main communication system was fried. They could receive signals but not send them. They were on their own, unable to contact Earth. Set course for the Taurus system, Maria ordered. Our intel suggests there's an independent trading post there. We need to repair the ship and gather information. 3 days later, the Defiance approached a small space station orbiting a red giant star. It didn't look like Council technology. It was patched together from different parts, like it had been built by many different species. No weapons targeting us, Ryan said, but they've definitely seen us. A voice came through their speakers, speaking in different languages. Finally, it tried English. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. Maria hesitated. Telling the truth could be dangerous, but they needed help. This is Captain Maria Rodriguez of the Earthship Defiance. We seek safe harbor and trade. There was a long silence then. Earth, humans are under barrier exile. How did you get here? We have our methods, Maria replied. We come in peace and will pay well for repairs. Another pause. Approach docking bay 3, slowly. Any aggressive move will be met with force. The station was busy with aliens of many types. Some Maria recognized from old records. Others were completely new to her. Most looked at the humans with surprise or fear. A few showed interest. While Alex arranged for repairs, Ryan explored the station, listening for useful information. Maria met with the station manager, a four-armed alien with purple skin. Humans, the manager said. Haven't seen your kind in a decade. Thought you were done for. We're hard to keep down, Maria said. What can you tell me about the current situation in council space? The manager named a high price for information. Maria paid it with rare minerals they had brought. Council's not what it used to be, the manager said. There are tensions. Some species question the old ways, especially the exile system. What about the Void Harbingers? Maria asked. The manager's forearms stiffened. Where did you hear that name? We have our sources. The manager leaned closer. There are rumors, sightings at the edge of charted space. The council denies everything, but they've increased patrols. Something has them scared. Later, Ryan found Maria and Alex in a quiet corner of the station. I made contact with someone interesting, he said. An alien trader named Zara. She says she knows about Earth's exile and wants to help us. Could be a trap, Alex warned. Could be our first ally, Maria countered. Arrange a meeting. Zara turned out to be a small, bird-like alien with shimmering feathers. I am Raxian, she introduced herself. My people were exiled 3 centuries ago. We broke free. How? Alex asked eagerly. Our system had natural wormholes, different from your situation. Zara looked around nervously. But that's not important. I have information for you about why your people were exiled. She showed them a data device. This contains council security records. Your people were framed because you developed too quickly. The council feared you would discover the truth about the Harbingers before they could prepare you. Prepare us for what? Maria asked. To be sacrificed, Zara said simply. The council has an agreement with the Harbingers. Every cycle they offer the exiled worlds in exchange for being left alone. The humans were silent as they processed this. There's more, Zara continued. Not all council members agree with this policy. There's a resistance forming, and She hesitated. Your ship isn't the first to break through a barrier. Others have done it before. Other humans? Alex asked, surprised. No. Other exiled species. We have formed a network. We call ourselves the Broken Chains, and we could use Earth's help. Before they could learn more, alarms sounded throughout the station. Ryan's communicator beeped. Captain, Council patrol ships just entered the system. They rushed back to the Defiance. The repairs weren't complete, but they had no choice. They had to leave. Come with us, Maria told Zara. The Raxian hesitated, then nodded. My ship has information you need, I'll follow you. As they prepared to launch, Dr. Freeman made a discovery. Captain, look at this. He showed her readings from the station's outer sensors. That's not a normal Council patrol. Those energy signatures, they match what our deep space telescopes detected near the barrier. Maria looked at the readings, then at Zara. Are those... Zara's feathers flattened against her body in fear. Yes, those are Harbinger scout ships. They're here early. The cycle is beginning sooner than expected. The Defiance and Zara's small ship slipped away from the station just as the strange dark ships entered the area. They didn't look like Council vessels. They were shaped like massive black stars with pulsing red lights at each point. They haven't detected us yet, Ryan reported. Where to, Captain? Maria looked at Zara. Take us to the Broken Chains. It's time humanity joined the fight. As the ships accelerated away, Maria looked back at the station through the view screen. The Harbinger ships surrounded it, pulsing with energy. Then, without warning, the entire station went dark. They just absorbed all its power, Alex whispered. Maria's hands tightened on her chair. Get us back to Earth as soon as possible. We need to warn them, and we need to prepare. The two ships vanished into the darkness of space, carrying with them humanity's first allies, and news of a war that was coming sooner than anyone had expected. 15 years had passed since humanity's exile began. Admiral William Carter, once just a commander, now stood in Earth's largest shipyard hidden inside the dwarf planet Ceres. Around him, hundreds of ships were being built. Some were small and fast. Others were large with powerful weapons. All of them were preparing for the day humanity would break free. Impressive, isn't it? General Lisa Bennett asked as she joined him. She had started as a colonel when the exile began. Now she led Earth's unified military forces. 500 ships, William said. Before the exile, we thought 7 was a lot. And these are better than anything we had then, Lisa said with pride. But will it be enough? William didn't answer. He was thinking about the message they had received 3 months ago. Captain Rodriguez and the Defiance had found a way to send signals through the barrier at specific points. The news they sent was both hopeful and frightening. They had found allies, other exiled species who had broken free. But they had also confirmed the threat of the Void Harbingers. On the other side of the solar system, Dr. Olivia Mitchell worked with a team of scientists on Jupiter's moon Europa. With her was Jack Howard, a civilian engineer who had been brought into the program after showing remarkable skill with alien technology. Try it now, Jack said, adjusting something in the large machine they had built. Olivia pressed a button. The machine hummed and projected a hologram of the solar system with the barrier shown as a red bubble around it. Small blue dots appeared at various points on the barrier. It works, Olivia said excitedly. We can see all the weak points now. The barrier wasn't perfect. It had spots where the energy field was thinner. For years they had only known about a few of these spots. Now they could see all of them. And look at this, Jack said, pressing another button. The hologram showed energy waves moving through the barrier. It pulses every 43 hours. During those pulses, the weak spots are even weaker. This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. Now they could get ships through the barrier more easily. Far from Earth, the Defiance and 5 other human ships that had escaped through the barrier over the years had joined with the Broken Chains, the alliance of formerly exiled species. They had set up a base on an abandoned moon in a system the Council had forgotten long ago. Captain Maria. Rodriguez now wore the uniform of an Alliance commander. She stood in a meeting room with representatives from 12 different species. The Harbinger ships have been spotted in 4 more systems, she reported. They're moving faster than we expected. Council member Shala, a defector from the Galactic Council, spoke next. She was tall with silvery skin that reflected light like metal. The Council is in denial. They keep saying the Harbingers won't arrive for another decade. They refuse to prepare. Their agreement won't save them this time, said Krell, a young alien who looked much like the Ambassador Krell who had helped exile humanity. But this Krell was different. He was the son of the Ambassador, but he had learned the truth and joined the resistance. My father believes the old ways will work again, young Krell said. He thinks offering the exiled worlds will be enough. But the Harbingers are hungry for more this cycle. We need to warn Earth, Maria said. The Harbingers will target them first because they're already marked by the barrier. Our latest intelligence suggests we have perhaps 6 months before the Harbingers launch their main attack, Shala added. We need to be ready. Back on Earth, preparations moved at full speed after they received the warning from Maria. Admiral Carter met with Earth's leaders in an underground base beneath the old United Nations building in New York. We can get through the barrier, he told them. Dr. Mitchell has mapped all the weak points, and Engineer Howard has developed a system that can temporarily expand those weak points. President Diane Foster looked at the reports. How many ships can get through? All of them if we time it right, William said confidently. But we need to coordinate with the Broken Chains Alliance. Captain Rodriguez says they can help from the outside while we push from the inside. What about the Council? Asked one of the leaders. Are they still a threat to us? According to our intelligence, the Council is divided, William explained. Some species want to maintain the exile system. Others, having learned about the Harbingers, are questioning everything. There's a real chance some Council members will become our allies. So we could be fighting a 2-front war, President Foster said, against both the Council loyalists and these Harbinger creatures. Yes, William agreed, but we won't be fighting alone. On Europa, Jack Howard worked with Captain Rodriguez's crew through secret communications to develop a new weapon system. The Harbingers absorbed energy, that was how they attacked. But Jack had an idea. If they feed on energy, he explained to Dr. Mitchell, maybe we can give them too much, like overfeeding until they burst. Olivia looked at his designs. This could work, but we'll need to test it. Jack smiled. I already have. On a small scale. He showed her a recording of his experiment. A tiny piece of what looked like black metal, a sample recovered from a Harbinger scout ship, was placed in a container. When exposed to a specific energy frequency, it absorbed the energy, grew larger, then suddenly broke apart. Their own hunger can be used against them, Jack said. Across the solar system, General Bennett trained a multi-species fighting force. Earth had taken in refugees from other exiled worlds, beings who had managed to escape their own barriers and find their way to Earth. Now they taught humans about the Harbingers' weaknesses. They don't see well in certain light frequencies, a 6-eyed alien named Morrow explained as they tested special lights on their ships. We can use that to hide our smaller vessels. Another alien with skin like tree bark added, they communicate with each other through energy pulses. If we can disrupt those pulses, they get confused. Lisa watched as human and alien soldiers trained together. We've learned more in the past 6 months than in the 15 years before, she told Admiral Carter when he visited the training base on Mars. Isolation was what the Council wanted, William said. They kept species apart to keep us weak. Together, we're finding new solutions none of us would have found alone. As the day of the breakout approached, William met with Olivia, Jack, and General Bennett one last time on the command ship Freedom. Earth has changed, Olivia said, looking at images of their home planet. We're not the same species that was exiled 15 years ago. We're stronger, Lisa agreed, more unified. And we have something to fight for beyond just ourselves, William added. If the Harbingers aren't stopped, they'll eventually consume every world in the galaxy. Jack looked at the fleet gathered around them. Hundreds of ships of all sizes crewed by humans and alien refugees, all preparing to break through the barrier together. "It's almost time," he said quietly. William nodded. "Send the signal to the broken chains. Operation Homecoming begins tomorrow." 20 years after humanity's exile began, the day of return finally arrived. Fleet Admiral William Carter stood on the bridge of the Freedom, Earth's largest warship. Around him, officers prepared for the most important battle in human history. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his second-in-command. William nodded. "Send the signal. Operation Homecoming has begun." Throughout the solar system, 500 ships moved toward their positions. They gathered near the weak points in the barrier that Dr. Olivia Mitchell had mapped. On each ship, Jack Howard's barrier disruptors were ready. "Timing is critical," William reminded the fleet commanders. "We must all break through at exactly the same moment. The broken chains will be waiting on the other side to help us." On the Freedom, Dr. Mitchell watched her monitors. "The barrier is beginning its pulse cycle. Weak points will be at minimum strength in 3 minutes." William took a deep breath. This was the moment they had prepared for during 20 years of exile. "All ships, activate disruptors on my mark." The countdown began. When it reached 0, William gave the order. "Mark." Across the solar system, hundreds of barrier disruptors activated at once. The invisible wall that had contained humanity for 2 decades suddenly became visible as a shimmering red barrier in space. At 12 different points, the barrier rippled and tore open. "Go now," William ordered. The fleet surged forward through the openings. Unlike the violent passage of the Defiance years earlier, these ships moved smoothly through. Jack's improved technology made the transition easier. Still, it was a race against time. The openings would close in just 2 minutes. As the Freedom passed through the barrier, William saw ships waiting on the other side, the Broken Chains fleet. He recognized the Defiance among them. Captain Maria Rodriguez had kept her promise. The Allies were here. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Broken Chains flagship," an officer reported. Maria's face appeared on the main screen. She smiled when she saw William. "Welcome back to the galaxy, Admiral." "Good to be back," William replied. "Status report?" Maria's expression turned serious. "The Harbingers have launched their first major attack. They've hit 3 Council worlds already. The Council is in chaos. Some members want to negotiate with the Harbingers. Others are finally ready to fight." "And our plan?" "Still on track. Alliance Commander Krell is meeting with the Council now, trying to convince them to join us." Before they could say more, alarms sounded on both ships. "Harbinger vessels detected," an officer shouted. "A lot of them. They're heading straight for us." The Harbinger ships looked like massive black stars with glowing red points. They moved in perfect formation, closing in from all sides. They knew. "We were coming," Maria said grimly. "Someone betrayed us." William turned to his crew. "Battle stations, deploy the energy traps." The human fleet quickly formed a defensive position alongside their allies. Jack Howard's new weapons were there. Best hope. These energy traps were designed to feed the Harbingers more power than they could handle. The first wave of Harbinger ships attacked. They fired beams of dark energy that drained power from several Alliance ships. But the Freedom and other human vessels launched small drones that pulsed with bright blue light. The Harbingers couldn't resist the energy. They absorbed the drones, their black hulls expanding as they consumed the power. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, just as Jack had predicted, 3 Harbinger ships burst apart, unable to contain the energy. "It's working," Olivia shouted. But there were too many Harbinger ships. For every one they destroyed, 3 more took its place. The battle turned against them. In the command center, William received an urgent message. "Admiral, we're being hailed by a council ship." To everyone's surprise, Ambassador Krell's face appeared on the screen. The alien who had exiled humanity 20 years ago looked older, but his black eyes were still cold. "Admiral Carter," he said stiffly. "It seems we face a common enemy." William controlled his anger. "The enemy you tried to feed us to." "The past is irrelevant now," Krell said. The Harbingers have broken our agreement. They attack Council worlds as well as exiled ones. The Council has voted. We will join your alliance. William glanced at Maria, whose image still showed on another screen. She nodded slightly. Very well, William said. Send us your fleet positions. We'll coordinate the attack. With the Council ships joining the battle, the tide began to turn. The combined fleets surrounded the Harbinger forces, deploying energy, traps and new weapons developed by the Broken Chains Alliance. On a smaller ship near the back of the fleet, General Lisa Bennett commanded a Special Forces team. We've located the Harbinger command ship, she told William. Permission to proceed with Phase 2? Granted, William replied. Be careful, General. Lisa's ship moved quietly toward the largest Harbinger vessel. With her was Dr. Olivia Mitchell carrying a device Jack Howard had built, a supercharged energy trap that could take down the entire Harbinger command structure. Their ship docked with the Harbinger vessel without being detected. Lisa's team moved through dark corridors that pulsed with red light. The inside of the Harbinger ship was like nothing they had seen before, half machine, half organic material. According to the Broken Chains intel, the control center should be ahead, Lisa whispered. They rounded a corner and found themselves in a large chamber. In the center floated a mass of dark energy shaped vaguely like a giant brain. That's their hive mind, Olivia said. The source of their coordination. Lisa nodded to her team. They set up defensive positions while Olivia prepared Jack's device. It looked simple, a small metal box with a glowing blue core, but it contained enough concentrated energy to overload the entire Harbinger network. Ready? Olivia said, activating the device. It began to pulse, sending out waves of energy that the hive mind immediately started to absorb. Fall back, Lisa ordered. They retreated to their ship as the Harbinger vessel began to shudder around them. As they pulled away, the command ship's red lights flared blindingly bright. Then, in a massive wave, it exploded, sending pulses of energy to all connected Harbinger vessels. One by one, they began to break apart. It worked, Olivia said, watching the chain reaction. Back on the Freedom, William saw the Harbinger fleet falling into chaos. Without their command structure, the ships lost formation and began to drift. All ships, press the advantage, he ordered. Don't let any escape. Hours later, the battle was over. The combined forces of humanity, the Broken Chains and the Council, had won. The Harbinger threat was eliminated, at least for now. In the Council chamber on Nexus Station, the same room where humanity had been exiled 20 years before, President Diane Foster addressed the assembled representatives of all species. 20 years ago, humanity was sent away based on lies and fear, she said. Today, we return not seeking revenge, but offering a new beginning. Ambassador Krell stepped forward. The Council acknowledges its error. The exile policy is hereby ended for all species. Young Krell, standing with the Broken Chains delegation, smiled slightly. His father had finally admitted the truth. William, Olivia, Maria, Lisa, and Jack stood together, watching as a new galactic charter was signed, one that promised cooperation and equality for all species. We did it, Jack said quietly. We not only came back, we changed everything. William looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's large windows. The same stars he had looked at 20 years ago when humanity was cast out. We came back, stronger, he said, not just with better ships and weapons, but stronger in spirit. We learned to work together, with each other and with other species. That's the real victory. As the ceremony ended, ships from Earth and the former exile worlds prepared to head home. But now they wouldn't be going home to isolation. They would be going as members of a new, united galaxy. Humanity's exile was over. Their future had just begun.